Alright, we got a big old chunk of aluminum here. This is 12 inches by 12 inches by 5 inches thick. It's actually surprisingly heavy. Aluminum is really light, but a chunk like this is, I think it was easily 70 pounds, 80 pounds, I guess. I didn't weigh it, I'm just going by hand scales. Alright, so I got this bad boy clamped in. I use these, I think they're called edge clamps. Got two on each side here, and if you look very closely, the bolt is actually a cam. It's kind of off center. I don't know if you can really see it that well. You can see it a little easier in that one. The Allen head is further away that way, so when you tighten it down, it kind of squeezes this brass hex into the piece, and you do that on all four sides, and then it's clamped very tightly in place. I've got a 3-inch face mill. It's got aluminum cutting inserts in here. These are hilariously sharp, as you can see from about 3 seconds ago. I'm just going to kind of face off the surface here. You can see it's just kind of all dinged up. The corners are all dinged, everything. Of course, I can't really find any major imperfections. It's all on the edges mostly. My goal is to take off a little bit from every side, all 6 sides, and make it smooth, get rid of all the imperfections. Newbie machinist mistake, I ran out of travel. The table is as far to the right as it's gonna get, but I miscalculated slightly because, I don't know if you can actually see that. So there you go. It almost came to the edge. Didn't quite make it, so I'll have to reposition the whole block over a few inches and then start over. Well, that didn't take long. I found a couple pieces of the end mill, but not all of it. If you want to know how dumb that was, I was milling in this direction, in and out, but it's only clamped on the sides. There's nothing holding it. There's nothing really holding it other than, you know, I can move it back and forth. Now I can anyway. The side pressure was holding it in before, but obviously it's not enough to withstand the forces of milling, so that was just a completely failed venture right from the get-go. Alright, so here we are for another try. It's actually about a week later. I was working on some other things, but I got some new end mills. This is a high-speed steel end mill instead of a carbide one. It should be hopefully a little more forgiving if I screw up. As you can see, I've got it significantly more secure now. It's an 8-inch clamp, and these are machine surfaces, so it's got a really nice grab on there. I've got the head of the machine tilted 45 degrees approximately. I didn't go super crazy with the precise measurements, and same with this. I think you can see I've just got the slot. This is going to be a V-shaped slot in the aluminum, and I'm pretty much just going to eyeball it. I'm not really even measuring anything. You can see I've got that lined up with that corner. I'm just going to do, you know, this side. I'm going to flip the piece in the vise and then do the other side without changing the head or anything like that, obviously. Alright, so first pass made. It's just a 1/2 inch deep. It went pretty well, but if you look at the cutter, rotate it there. Some of the flutes have like aluminum welded to it. I guess it's too hot for aluminum. So what I'm hooking up here is I've got a little mist coolant spray. I've never even used it before, And I'm actually going to use 2 of them, and hopefully that'll keep it cooler and lubricated so it doesn't build up there. I gotta figure out how I'm going to get that off there first without destroying the cutter, but give me a little bit. Alright, so we got the V groove here roughed out. You can see it's pretty rough. It's going to take some sanding. It's not like a perfect line or anything. It's actually pretty close. It's a little rougher over here. I'll have to sand this all out. But I've got the rest of it machined to, you know, almost perfect dimensions. It's about the same width as it is deep. Alright, so the hammer's done and I need to ship it actually tomorrow. I'm still working on the stand, as you can see, but I'm going to make sure it actually fits this V-shaped slot over here before I ship it out. That would kind of be a disaster if it didn't work. Not too bad. Looks pretty good to me. All I have to do now is I want to make this like a base of a pyramid. So the sides are all going to slope in about 15 degrees or so. And it'll probably come up to about here where the cut will be. And to make this cut, I've got my vertical bandsaw here. Now I've got the table set at a 15-degree angle. I fabricated this little plate. This is the fence. The normal piece is not tall enough, so I fabricated this little piece just to bolt through, and I'll actually be able to reference against this surface. I've sped the motor up basically as high as it will go for metal cutting. It'll be fine for aluminum since it's so soft. Now I'm using a very aggressive blade here. You may think this is a woodworking blade. It's a 4 TPI blade. That's 4 teeth per inch. It's important to use a blade like this when cutting very thick metal because the gullet, which is this little space in between each tooth, it's bigger and it'll carry more material away as the blade moves down and it's cutting through, you know, 5 inches thick. It's got to remove those chips. It's got a long way to go, so having that space for the chips to go instead of getting all packed in there, it will be very helpful in cutting this reasonably efficiently. I'm also going to wax the blade just to keep any of the aluminum from sticking to it. And that's it. I basically have to hold a 70-pound chunk flat against that surface and then pass it through the blade. Not really sure how easy that's going to be, but we're about to find out. Alright, so I have exactly 0 clue what's going on. I cut through this section without any problem pretty quickly, and then the blade just started screaming, and as soon as I start cutting again, it just jumps off the wheels basically. I cut this section out just to see if anything looks funny, and I mean the cut looks beautiful. But if I look down there where it last made cuts, you can see it's almost like segmented. I think the blade might have started chattering and it left these, like, you know, every tooth. That's every tooth basically. It took a little chunk out of it, and now whenever I try to cut it, the teeth grab those little indentations and just stalls out the blade basically instantly, and then the blade jumps off the wheels because it can't move. So I'm going to try this one. It's 8 to 12 TPI and it's thicker as well. I'm going to see if I can use that new blade to fix this problem, because this is all I've done in 90 minutes. So this is going to take me a really long time unless I can figure this out. By the way, a handy little tip for opening up bandsaw blades. They come like this, all coiled together. and they're extremely sharp. And when you try to kind of undo the coils, they spring out and smash you in the face. So I just do that. Alright, round 12 with this godforsaken thing. If you look down there, I took a hacksaw and I smoothed out the cut so it doesn't have that jagged appearance. I've got the new blade installed. It barely fits. You can see it actually just lightly rubs the backside of the hole there. I've got it waxed. I've got it all set up. I've got the table supported from underneath so the weight of the block doesn't distort it. Wish me luck. Well, we've got the first cut done. It took forever to cut the portion. I think it was right from here to here. It took 45 minutes according to the camera, and you can see it's not super obvious. Let me see if I can do this. The cut didn't really come out that straight. You can especially see it here where it didn't even cut through the very edge. Basically, I'm trying to hold this 70-pound block against gravity for an hour, and I'm trying to keep it square against the fence, and I'm trying to apply even pressure. It's just impossible. My hands and arms and everything are completely toast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank up the speed on this. It's at the fastest metalworking speed, and I'm going to put it at the woodworking speed. I'm a little nervous because that's literally 10 times the speed. But I just can't take, I literally can't take another hour-long cut. There's no way I'm going to do 3 hours worth of holding this block up and pushing it through the saw at a millimeter a minute, basically. So I'll set up a coolant mist spray. I've never actually even used one on a vertical bandsaw. I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not, but at this point I'm over it. We're going to go really fast with lots of coolant and cross our fingers. Alright, so I overheated the motor to the bandsaw a few times. You can see this cut over here. It's like 90% done. I'm just going to switch back and forth. I'm going to clean up this previous cut. Very long passes with this giant end mill. Hopefully it manages it. I'm going to do a test cut, 20 thousandths of an inch, about half a millimeter. Alright guys, well, it's getting late and starting to see things out of the corner of my eye. I still have to make a box for this and ship it out tomorrow morning, so I think I'm done for now. Turned out pretty well. All the sanding really worked out well, I think. Gives it a nice semi-polish. I guess you'd call it a brushed finish. I didn't go crazy in cleaning up the inside area here. It's actually very smooth, but there's some, you know, there's some minor divots from the end mill and everything, but I don't really have any time, and this section is going to get dented up the very first time you drop a 135-pound hammer in here. So I'm not caring too much about this. It's not really a big deal. I mean, even, you know, even when it's on display, most of it is hidden anyway. I made this slot intentionally wider than the hammer so that, you know, when you're viewing it when it's in the display stand, you can still see the entire hammer. None of it is covered up. I guess this, you know, this surface and this surface is covered up, but you have the entire side profile even though it's sitting in that notch. But yeah, we are done. This weighs about 45 pounds, I would say, roughly 20 kilograms. I could have made it a lot less if I had made it shorter, but nothing I can do about it now. It will definitely be a nice sturdy base for that hammer, that's for sure. Alright, onto the box building for this. I've got 3 minutes left on this battery, so until next time, guys.